Hello my Food Mood friends, welcome back. Chandra's in Odyssey. Yeah, this is take 4. I just had 3 technological blips, which always makes it a little tricky in my brain to remember what I have said or not said because I already said things. Anyway, technical difficulties, brain management, can totally do it. So I am sitting here today at this beautiful nature spot because I was here with a friend of mine a couple days ago. We came at sunset, we did a cold plunge, and then we sat here on this beach, and our purpose was to get together. I had offered to him to talk about stress tips. I told him, I said, I do this all the time with my clients, and I have lots of tools and strategies, and so I would be happy to give him some, just because I care about him and I love him, and yeah, it's like, this is what I love to do. So I actually do this in my free time also. So I came here because it's such a magical spot. We have this creek here that comes up from the mountains in Reno, that comes down through Collin Ranch and then into the Truckee River here. This is the Truckee River. I love this place. So we sat here by the river and I asked him questions, a lot like I ask my clients, to figure out where is he at, what's he stuck with, what is he doing, what is he not doing, what is it that he really wants. And it was interesting because what he said was, he actually said that the real issue is that he smokes. He's not sure about his relationship with marijuana, with weed. And so I'm going to trust that the audio is working because I'm getting notifications the audio is not working, but I just checked it and it is working. So let's just say it's working. Trust. And if not, I'll redo it. That's how it works. So he said that what his real issue is the over smoking marijuana. And he said, I've been trying to stop, or I've been thinking about stopping for a long time, and I'm just not sure. And I feel like that's the real issue.
Welcome. Here is your hostess and coach, Chandra, helping people make food and mood changes doable without missing out. Go ahead, high five that like button, subscribe and share while you're there.
And so then we kind of got into, well, what is it that he's wanting and what's his ideal? And there became kind of a lot of like, I don't know, and I'm not sure. And so what I recommended to him is something that I really think is very, very useful for really anything in our life that we're wanting to change. So I apply this to food, I apply this to alcohol, I apply this to watching TV, scrolling, whatever it is that's a way that we're spending our time and energy, and something that we're questioning and we're not sure, is to come into a conscious relationship with it. It can also be with stress. I explained some of the details of like how I think about stress and how I help my clients unwind stress, but it wasn't really what he was looking for. So we ended up doing this detour into, well, what does it mean to engage in a conscious relationship with weed, and to figure out, what are the costs? What are the big downfalls? Is it worth it? What are the benefits? I really do believe that weed is a massive medicine. When I came out of my birth, when I gave birth, I used CBD and ibuprofen instead of all of the crazy. I had a C-section, and the doctors were appalled that I wasn't going to take all of the heavy-duty medicines, and I took CBD and I alternated with CBD and ibuprofen to manage my pain, instead of taking, all of the opiates and stuff. So I really believe in weed as a serious medicine for a lot of things. So I don't think that weed is necessarily bad, but sometimes we can get into a place where we're overusing it. We can overuse it to a point where we're waking up really groggy the next morning, we're not present in our relationships, we're using it to ignore emotions. I think this is one of the biggest things. Like, I think alcohol is used a lot for this, of like, I just want to feel better and I feel some kind of emotional pain and I just don't want to feel it. And so we use it to escape. And so we can use weed the same way, that we're using it to escape, something that inside of us is wanting to address and work on and face. We can overuse weed or overuse alcohol or overuse shopping or screens or whatever it is to ignore that message from inside that says something's not quite right, this needs attention, and we can use things to ignore that signal. Hello, my friend. How are you? I'm in the Dead Sea floating in the water. Go ahead and like and share and follow so we can keep in touch. And then that is where I see a lot of the net negative, is that when we ignore it, it then starts to accumulate issues in our tissues, emotions in our being, in our body that are not moving through us. And they make us feel really heavy, they get us feel really exhausted. And emotions are the root of all disease, so they also can lead to much more serious things. And so I think that there can be a way that we can use weed as a tool to maybe switch modes at the end of a work day, to maybe use weed for pain management, to maybe use weed to relax or enjoy nature. Or I also think that in certain quantities we can use it to process emotions. I think that's one of the big beauties of plant medicines, is that sometimes that slight change can help us face our emotions in a way that we can't without that help. There's some great research coming out with MDMA and how with PTSD that in the context of having a therapist and doing integrated work before and after, that having the MDMA can help face those really, especially like PTSD, those traumas. And I think that we all have some version of that where our brains don't like to feel emotional pain. We automatically go away from it. And plant medicine can help us soften and more easily process those emotional pains that we all have. We all have emotional pains to varying degrees, and different cocktails at different moments in life. And it's really, I really like to view it a lot like, how do we create an intentional relationship with whatever tool it is that we're using? We can also use carrots to ignore, we can overeat carrots to ignore our emotions. It's not like it's just, the classified bad substances or whatever. It's really about the relationship. So how do we use the tool to help us and not to use it to check out or escape or, avoid something that is wanting our attention inside of us? So I wanted to open this conversation. This is a really common conversation I have with my clients, is really predominantly around how do we relate to the different things in our life. Sometimes I often work with substances with my clients, whether it's pain meds or medication sometimes, or substances. Or tobacco. I guess you could call them all substances, but there's a big variety of things that I help my clients come into an intentional and conscious relationship of where it's really okay, how do I think of my future self? How do I really check in with myself right now? How do I make this decision from my higher self or my expanded self, or the part of me that's connected to my future versus, or some people use the word God, or versus my little self that is just trying to survive today. And so switching that place where we're making that decision from and where we're in relationship with these different tools is really, really powerful. It's very similar with stress. We can do something very similar with stress and being in relationship. I look at stress as coming from the thoughts in our head, what we're thinking. I have so much to do, all of these pieces, versus coming into a place with our emotions where we're resisting our emotions. That can cause a state of physiological stress. So there's ways that we can be in relationship to our stress that we can unravel and get through and alter the way that we're in relationship to our brain and into our emotions that can reduce, internally reduce stress. I've been doing something I want to do another whole podcast on sleep, but I've been really playing with, I wear earplugs at night, and when I wake up in the middle of the night, I've been working a lot with my sleep the last couple of years, and I wake up in the middle of the night and I can hear my heart beating. And sometimes it's beating pretty fast. And because of my earplugs, I have these silicone earplugs, I can really hear the inside of my body. And I've been really playing with my breath, with catching my mind. My mind wants to go down the rabbit hole of all the things that are wrong, and my brain wants to, go into scary things, and I bring it back, and I focus my mind on my nostrils and on my sensation and on my heartbeat, and then I breathe intentionally very slowly, and I listen to my heartbeat relax, and then I drift back off to sleep. It's really powerful that we do have this ability to really change our internal physiology with our mind's attention and with our relationship to our brain, to our emotions, to our heart rate. It's basically what biofeedback is. It's like reducing stress. I was doing it at 2 years old, which is kind of crazy, but enough of that for today. So thank you so much for your time and attention. I really appreciate it. And if you want to do this work with me, with my focused attention, I would love to have you. Please reach out to me, and I'll see you next time. Have a beautiful day.